people in the tech sector are known to think outside the box. Andrea Breanna is no stranger to that. She's the founder and CEO of content management company RebelMouse, and she's built her company culture around compassion. Andrea also proudly identifies as non binary and transgender. Friends, this is truly an inspiring conversation. I invite you to slow down and tune in because you're watching Transcend, reimagining reality as a trans tech leader. Thank you so much for speaking with us today and giving of your time. I know you stay very, very busy. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background in tech and how you got started?
So I was born in Mexico City. I grew up in California in the Bay Area. Started writing code when I was very young, like 8 or 10, and fell in love with technology. As a trans person, that was the first place I could express my identity. My dad started a software company, and so I ended up building the first website for him when I was in undergrad at NYU. And I fell in love with the creativity of building something online and how quickly it could get shared and discovered and become something. The site I built ended up going viral. It was on all these TV shows, and that became my love. If you fast forward, I built the original technology for Avaz.org, which has 50 million members and is a global move on, and became CTO of Huffington Post very early in the company, where I ran product design and engineering. And we sold the company to AOL. I ran those groups for all of AOL's media properties for a year, and then started RebelMouse, which builds media sites for brands and media companies, and is a very large platform. We're over 100 million uniques a month that are the sites we power reach. And also we're a creative agency that does strategy, design, and development work.
Andrea, I love the name of your company, and I also love your logo, which is a tiny little mouse holding a rainbow flag. It's so perfect for what you do. Tell us, how did you come up with the name RebelMouse?
What I tell people is the best way to pick a name is to actually tell your friends and family the name without telling them that it's the name of your company you're going to start. Because then they're biased and they tell you, oh, I like it, because they don't want to hurt your feelings or something. And so RebelMouse was a name that I had come across a couple of years before starting the company.
Okay.
And it tested through the roof on, you'd ask people, the trick is you ask them without any context. You say, hey, what do you think about RebelMouse? And when the name is really good, you get a high percentage of people who fake it. And they're like, oh, I think it's really cool. Oh, I like that company.
You mean to say, did you ever have anyone say, what's RebelMouse?
Oh, absolutely, people. What's RebelMouse? But in a positive way. So the key things for a good name is that it's highly memorable. You could say it in a crowded place. Remember when we used to have those? And so you want it to be memorable, and you want it to tell a story.
You had previously talked to me about some experiences you had when you were coming out as gender fluid and non-binary. Do you want to share some of those experiences with our audience today?
You know, I didn't come out of the closet until 5 years into RebelMouse, 5 years after leaving AOL. I had established a career, and I had been in the closet because of fear, obviously. And I thought that I would lose, I really feared that when I came out at RebelMouse, I would lose clients, I would lose employees, I would lose board members. And I am really proud to say, and I hope that it helps others who are in the closet or who are out of the closet to help find their mojo, that the opposite happened. That actually, Brene Brown has this beautiful talks and books about vulnerability and being openly trans, makes you very vulnerable. Like it or not, it's a very vulnerable position. And actually, it brought me closer to my own team. It brought my team closer to each other.
Mm.
And I think what I realized is that, yeah, there's a lot of people who definitely hate openly trans people. And I have 65,000 people blocked on Twitter, for example. And I received a fair degree of, hate on social, ugly comments, bigots, etc. But the beautiful things that come from it far outweigh those. And I think the trick was to really focus on all these beautiful moments and beautiful connections, and realize that for so many people, while they may not be trans, they can relate to the feeling of having been kept in a box that didn't suit them. Once you get in the habit of breaking out of boxes and you realize the happiness it brings, you realize how many boxes they put us in.
And what a difference it makes to be seen and recognized in the world for who you are. What does it mean to you to be referred to by your true name?
Every time I hear someone call me by my real name and use my correct pronouns, it makes me proud. I feel the opposite. I feel like instead of the door shut on me in the closet, I feel outside. I feel alive. I feel fresh air, and I feel very happy. And that happiness from me helps others. If you've ever worked for a leader who's super stressed out and unhappy, it's very hard to be happy while you work for them. And so for me, back to your question on being able to use my name, I feel it feels so honest, and it feels like the honesty that was hard to get to.
Mm-hmm.
And having, since this is for MasterCard and the importance of what they did, when I first came out, my dead name was on my cards. And so instead of now we got to coffee and they're going to call out my dead name because that's the name on the card, instead to put my real name and to hear, flat white for Andrea, I just can't tell you how happy that honesty has made me. And to be able to put that on your credit card and buy things with your real name, it's an incredibly validating moment. How we vote is so important in the world, but how we buy is probably just as important.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. Andrea, thank you so much for your time today. I know you have a number of things going on, and I really appreciate you sharing so openly and so beautifully your about your background, but also your life philosophies and the way that you carry yourself. That was really beautiful.
Thank you so much for having me and your beautiful questions. I really enjoyed this time. Thank you so much.